Liam, you made 7 changes in the cup win. Food for thought from some of those youngsters?
Yeah, some good performances. I think first and foremost a good collective performance, which is obviously the first thing we look at, and then after that, then looking at certain individuals, I thought there was some real good aspects, some real good moments, and some really exciting moments. Some bits that I've spoken a lot around pre-season around high potential, and I think people at the game the other night would have seen that. So there was some really good bits the other night. I was really pleased with a lot of it.
Big difference between Sutton in the cup though and Ipswich away in League One.
Yeah, of course. When you look at it, obviously Sheffield Wednesday last week and Ipswich this week. Obviously, two favourites for the division. For the size of the club, the budget, the playing squad that they've got. Real good depth, real good quality. So it's a game that you want to play in. I was talking to the players about it this morning. That's what you want to test yourself against. You want to go there and put on a performance and show what we're capable of, and you only do that if you believe in us and how we play and what we're trying to do. So it's a game that me and I'm sure the players are all looking forward to.
It was interesting you went with O'Hora and Tucker as your centre halves Tuesday night. Is that just to try and get them to understand each other, a bit more as the season has just started?
Yeah, and Jamie as well. Obviously, I think that in terms of relationships and especially changing for was last year, obviously playing a back three to defending with just two centre halves. I think that in terms of was a change for him. But we will flip back at some point. I'm sure we'll go back to a three. At some point throughout the season. So. I think it's being able to play, the two systems, which can be a real strength. So I think it was a good opportunity to further enhance their relationship and their understanding of each other's games, and continue to develop on a strong relationship. I thought the two were terrific, playing together against Sheffield Wednesday.
Just give us an idea of the transition between playing three at the back and two centre halves now, and how you have to get the team to kind of understand the principles of that, because it's a bit of a shift because you played it pretty much all last season.
Yeah, I think systems get there's a huge amount of talk around systems. I think especially for us in possession, it's more principle driven. So I think systems become probably slightly more important out of possession in terms of the positions that you take up. And when you look at it last year, tilting across the pitch with a back five, it is different when you do it with a four. The distances you have to cover and the speed you have to move at. Having an extra player higher up, I thought was key for us as well against Sheffield Wednesday. But in possession, it doesn't change in terms of what we're trying to do, what we're trying to create, and how the game looks. And I think if you look at the first two games and Sutton the other night, the style of play is the same as last season. It's not any different, despite playing a different system. So I think for me, it's more on principles of the game and the players understanding the principles and how we execute, our style.
You've obviously got injury concerns, particularly up front. What's the latest with Will Grigg?
Yeah, it's a slight one. We're expecting him back soon. So it's definitely not a major one. It's a case of slightly more precaution than anything. So we're looking after him, and look, you look at it. It's tough for any squad when you got we're 6 out, I think, injured. So it's not just any 6 as well. You look at the experience that we've got out and the quality we've got out. I think it also shows a compliment when you then look at the team that we've got the depth and we've got the players that we can bring in that are only going to improve with time. So it's not ideal. It's a challenge, obviously, but at the same point, it provides opportunity for other players in the squad to to go and grab a shirt, as people say, and own a position.
Moe says long term. Does that mean would you be looking for a striker permanently, or do you think it's more likely to be a loan if you are going to do that?
I think we're exploring the market. We're seeing what's out there. I think I'm sure most managers in the league will tell you how difficult it is to get a 9. I think there's a real shortage out there in terms of volume of players, but also quality. So I think it's really important we don't just rush and panic and just get anybody in for the sake of having a striker. I think it's a lot more important that we're a little bit more patient with it and we work really hard to get the right one. So we're doing a huge amount of work on it behind the scenes.
If it is Matt Dennis up front on tomorrow, he might quite want to score against Ipswich, the Norwich player.
If being the key word, right? I think, obviously, myself and the staff obviously spent a period of time at Ipswich as well, and Matt playing at Norwich, I'm sure there's a bit of a rivalry obviously in that game. So for me, the biggest thing now is just concentrating on us and executing the game plan and delivering what we're capable of.
What's it going to be like for you going back there, Liam? I mean, you started out there, you're a youth player, then you got into the coaching too. be happy day, won't it?
Yeah, it's obviously last year because it was so early on. Being back in England, it was it was a nice occasion. But I think when I look at it now, a lot of change at the club. There's a lot of new people. There's obviously a completely different playing squad. So for me, like, I have really good memories. What's a terrific football club, but ultimately I'm not going back there to enjoy. I'm going back there to try and win a game.
It's your anniversary of the year in charge at MK Dons. It's been some year as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's mad. Feels like 10. I think. No, look, it's been a really good year. Obviously, I think I've learnt a huge amount. I feel like I've improving and developing myself and the staff, and I think that's the key to what we want at the club. In terms of the culture that we have, that staff, players, everybody involved with it looks to improve and learn from the experiences that we go through. So I've definitely done that over the course of the last season, and we'll continue to look to do so. And it's been a really enjoyable year. I really enjoy working at the club with some terrific staff and players.
You've hardly aged. Management's supposed to stress everybody out, but you seem to be remarkably calm all the time.
I appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure about that when I look at bags under my eyes, and I'm not sure about that with the sleepless nights. But no, it's makes it a lot easier when you've got good people around you to support you, and bring the chairman into that. The chairman has been terrific, since we've been here in supporting us with what we want to do, and he's really fully on board with the not too high, not too low ethos of what we're trying to create. So it's going game by game, which hopefully keeps me younger.
And Ipswich have just gone and got Richard Keogh and added to the squad, which is already a very useful squad, one of the favourites for the title. I mean, it's a tough prospect.
Yeah, and Rich is someone I actually played in the academy at Ipswich with Rich when we were 13, 14, 15, so someone that I'm in touch with, that I've known quite a long time. It's a really good signing for them in terms of what he'll bring, the experience, and terrific playing career. So he'll bring a huge amount to that dressing room, I'm sure, which is already stacked with a huge amount of experience, a huge amount of quality. And look, they've obviously invested a huge amount to do that, which they've obviously got a good coach in Kieran now, got them well set up, well organised, quite clear in terms of their identity and style. So that's what makes it really, really exciting. I think we're quite clear, what we're about, and I think they are as well. So it'll be hopefully be a good game.
Cool. Nice one. Thanks, Liam.
Cheers.
Jeff mentioned there the partnership between Jack Tucker and Warren Ahora, and as I understand it, we're about to speak to Warren. In the last couple of years, he's been, he's come into the side and sort of established himself as one of the first players on the team sheet almost. How impressed have you been with the work that Warren Ahora has put in over the last 12 months?
Yeah, he's been tremendous. I have to say, I absolutely love working with him. I think first and foremost, as a character, he's a terrific person, terrific guy, terrific professional. And then if you look at his game, I think and credit to him, he does a lot of, he watches his clips back, and credit to Hoggy and Righty as well. They sit with him and they'll analyse his game, and he's really bought into working hard to improve, which speaks volumes about his desire to improve and his ambition. So he's been outstanding to work with, hence him being captain the other night. It shows obviously, I think, what I think of him. He's for his age, he's a terrific leader, and he brings a real presence about him. And I think what he's progressing over the last year, both defensively but also on the ball, in terms of just cleaning up the basics for me. He's so tidy now with so many aspects of that. So he's been huge for us in the last season, and I'm sure he will continue to be so in the future as well.
I think you mentioned it a few times last year that just because you're young doesn't mean you lack experience, and it feels like now Warren's in that sort of category where he is the on-field leader, and yet he's still one of the younger members of that squad.
Yeah, and it's his maturity. I think I forget sometimes how young he is, but I really feel he was one that learned a lot from the experiences we went through last year. If you look at his journey throughout the season, we had some tough moments. If I think back to Lincoln on Boxing Day, and some of the Shrewsbury away, some of the tough moments that we had, but then also some of the good moments, like Wigan away. Them experiences and us, not just coaching how he gets better at his heading or his passing, actually reflecting on them experiences and how you're feeling it and how you manage the momentum within it, and what do you actually take to to be able to recall in that, if you're in that position again in the future. They're the big bits I think he's really taken on board and bought into, and then I think when he talks, people listen because of the respect he has within the group, which is it's quite uncommon now. I think when you see someone his age, to have the leadership qualities and the ability to communicate like he does, he's like I say, Still got bits to, I'm sure he'll admit, still bits to work on and improve. But he's really progressed over the course of the last 12 months.
And a quick word on the Carabao Cup draw, obviously drawing against Watford. That's a massive game for the club.
Yeah, good game. Look at one we're looking forward to. I think it's obviously ideal. It's just up the road, so it's not a huge trip for us. And yeah, playing against a team that were in the Premier League last season. I think it's good to go to them places to test yourself, to to get a feel for their level, especially when we've got a group of young, hungry, driven, ambitious players. So for them to go and see what it looks like at the level above, I think is a great learning opportunity.
Nice one, thank you, mate.
Last week, you had a really strong performance from your team, even though they were missing arguably 4 starter-level players. You spoke about having 6 players injured now. I guess if they can put in a performance similar to last Saturday, it will be another sign of progress within this young squad.
Yeah, and that's the big bit. We spoke a lot this week around that. What are the key things at the minute, and that's establishing the culture that we want. I think that's real key. I think then being clear on our identity and what we are, and then the final bit is then the progress element. And I think that was probably the pleasing thing. If you look at the story so far, going from Cambridge to Sheffield Wednesday to Sutton, I think you see that. I think we obviously watch the games back. We look at the data, and I don't want to talk loads about last season, but when you compare it to some of the games last year, if you actually go off chances conceded, for example, we're actually in a much better place than where we were. Back in mid-third, I've been really pleased in terms of the control that we've been able to establish in games. Sheffield Wednesday, they didn't drop off deliberately, speaking with their staff. We forced them back into that. And we looked a threat, we carried a real threat. So for me, the next bit's just the final bit. So it doesn't mean it's always that, line of progression is going to be a nice straight linear line, to where you want to get to. I think it's understanding that it's ultimately it's about improving, but that journey to do that has to have peaks and troughs. So I think the biggest thing is to see that progression. That's what we're looking for tomorrow as well.
They often say that you learn more from your losses than you do your victories sometimes, and it's nice, I guess, to get those out of the way early so that the progress can continue throughout the year.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it. I like to learn from winning games as well. I prefer to try and take a lesson out of winning than I would from losing. So, what I'm also quite clear is it's about not getting too carried away with losing or winning. I think that's the biggest thing that it's about staying even. It's around where do we finish up at the end of the season, and if you look at the journey, I'm sure there's teams last year that would have finished right up there that had really challenging starts. But for me, it's just focusing on us. We've got a really exciting game tomorrow where the group's really prepared, physically look good in what's going to be extremely difficult conditions for both sides, I'm sure, with the weather. So then it's around how do we manage the situation, how do we manage the occasion, how much do we believe in us and what we want to do, and then go and having the confidence to deliver it. And that's what we'll be saying to the players.